And today we are talking with Dr. Dan. Dr. Dan is a psychologist, author, and a parenting expert. He has a podcast, Parent Footing, with Dr. Dan and is co-founder of the Summit Center. He is also involved in the Bright and Quirky Network. Hello, Dr. Dan.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. Why do you have what? Who do you help in your job and why?
I help children, adolescents, adults, parents, and families. And the why is I am passionate about helping people realize their full potential and then live meaningful and fulfilling lives, knowing more about who they are, their strengths, their challenges, and how their own unique profile can be best accepted and utilized in their world.
What is twice exceptionality?
Twice exceptionality is when someone has advanced abilities on the one end of we say the imaginary bell curve. So on the one end over here, you might have advanced thinking abilities, we call cognitive abilities. You might be advanced in academics, math, science, English, writing. You also can be advanced in your creativity, in your leadership abilities, or your performing arts abilities, like musical, for example. And on the other side of the bell curve over here, you also have some challenges. And those challenges can show up like dyslexia, which I think we both have some familiarity with. Dysgraphia, which we might have the same. Attentional issues like ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, auditory processing or visual processing issues. Also anxiety, depression, or other mood challenges. So those are things that can cause challenges. And the reason we say you're twice exceptional is you have exceptionalities on both ends of the bell curve. But in reality, we know most people are not that neat and tidy, and we all usually have more exceptionalities than that.
How would you describe someone who is twice exceptional?
Well, I would describe them as someone who is very bright and creative and also has weaknesses or challenges in one of the many different domains of life functioning that I just mentioned. So really, we think about it as significant strengths and also some other developmental challenges, which can be frustrating and keep us from being able to show our best selves or our best work.
How do you measure talents such as building, creativity, and venture?
So that's a really good question, because we know that a lot of the tests, most of them don't really capture that. So for example, many of the cognitive tests do have visual portions. And for people who are really good at Legos and building, like a little piece of Lego that I see you're holding there, many of those individuals can show strongly on the visual portions of the cognitive test. However, when it comes to most building, creativity, and other skills that fall outside of a test, we really have to look towards what we call portfolios. And that is where we actually look at people's work and people's creations and see the detail, the sophistication. And many of these people who are very bright, creative, twice exceptional, gifted, will be doing advanced building and creating and inventing at a very young age.
What type of questions would parents ask you?
Many questions. Many questions, actually. Parents come to ask to understand their child better. They want to understand how to help their child be at their best, develop in a optimal way. They want to ask questions if their child has a observable or diagnosable challenge, which might be hidden due to their strengths. They might have concerns about their child's worries. And largely, it all falls under the umbrella of them really wanting to be the best parents they can for their kids and wanting to understand them best to support them and their growth.
What do parents tell their kids' teacher after they found out their kid is twice optional?
You know what? It depends on the parent. Parents, I always feel, know their kids best. And I look to parents when I guide them about them knowing their child and what information would be most helpful. So, for example, I think it's very important to help twice exceptional kids know that they are smart, that they do have all of these strengths, and to break down where those strengths are, because when we have strengths, we actually just think it's normal. We don't think there's anything special about ourselves because we've always been that way. So on the one hand, parents will tell their child about the things that they're good at. I also think it's important for parents to find a way to tell their child who's twice exceptional the things that are challenging in terms of that's causing them frustration in school or in life. The question then becomes, do we help, depending on the child's age and depending on how the child feels about themselves, do we actually use labels like dyslexia, ADHD, autism, or do we talk about those profiles in terms of what the challenges lie? And that's where I think it's up to each parent to decide whether their child would be benefiting by hearing a label and a name or just learning about the challenges. And this is also, a child can ultimately have a positive identity about all of their abilities, the ones that they're really good at, the ones that they might be typical at, and the ones that might be harder for them.
Okay. Do you have a learning difference? If so, what?
Well, I think I let the cat out of the bag a little earlier. I have dyslexia and I have dysgraphia. And so I didn't know that I had those because I compensated in school, but it made school reading and writing very challenging for me, and I didn't like it very much at all. And I was relieved when I got much older. In fact, it was not until I had my own kids who have the same profiles that I then became aware that, hey, this is me too. And I've just been living my whole life trying to get by without knowing it.
What did you want to be as a kid?
Well, mostly what I wanted to be was a professional tennis player, because I played a lot of tennis and I was passionate about it. And in hindsight, I see that my dyslexic visual spatial strengths that comes from those strengths was really much utilized in tennis. And then once I realized that I wasn't going to be a professional tennis player when I got older, I very much wanted to work with people. And that's how I found my way getting into psychology.
Well, you just told us the next question, the answer to it.
What was that? What's the question?
The next question was, how did you get into psychology? And you just answered that. So thanks for doing both questions.
All right.
What makes you happy in your work? Does it keep you happy? excited, and want to keep helping?
What makes me happy in my work and keeps me motivated and happy in the work is seeing people grow and become the people they want to be and realizing their strengths and having success in the world. And I will never get sick of that. And that will always be my motivating factor.
You are an author. What books have you written about twice exceptionality?
So I have written some books, and I would say that, and I've written some chapters. And so I don't have a book that is all about twice exceptionality, but I can say that I have twice exceptionality that is in all of my books. So I have some books on conquering the worry monster, becoming from a worrier to a warrior. And there's some information in there about being bright and also about having challenges known as twice exceptionality. And I co-authored a book about creativity. That's the new version's just out, called Boosting Your Child's Creativity. And there's information in there about some twice exceptionality and what we call developmental asynchrony. And then I also co-authored a book called Bright Complex Kids, Supporting Their Social and Emotional Development. And in that book, there is information and chapters about twice exceptionality.
Okay. We have people listening from across the world. What part of the world are you from, and what do you like about this place?
So it's really exciting that you have people from all over the world. I think that is so cool. I am in Northern California in the United States. And what do I like about my part of the world? What I like about Northern California is the area where we live is a drive to many different things. So there's always something to do. We are a few hours away from the mountains. We are an hour or less away from the beach. We are right across the bay from San Francisco, which is a wonderful city. We are near the wine country, an hour away. And so I just love that there's so many different things to do where we live.
And what is a fun fact about you?
A fun fact about me. This is a really good question. And I have to make it fun. Okay. I am a Star Wars and Lego nerd, and independently and together. I also love all of the Marvel superhero movies. And when I watch all of these movies, I get completely engrossed and they all become real for me. And I think about them for a long time after, even well into the night when I should be sleeping.
That's something that happens to me sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Dr. Dan, for your time and for what you have shared.
Thank you for having me. I am completely impressed with you and the organization that you are representing. And I want to tell you just to keep doing what you're doing, because I can tell you are.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. That's Dystinct